If you grew up in the USA and are a sports fan whatsoever, and maybe even outside the USA, you know about this segment, it's the Sports Center Top 10. The best segment of the best sports show of the best sports network, ESPN. And I would wake up every morning early if I had to, before school, before the bus came, to watch the top 10 plays of the previous day. The best catches from the NFL, the best hits in the MLB, the best goals in the NHL, the best dunks in the NBA. But one thing they didn't really cover all too often was soccer, or real football. You wouldn't see the best goals from the Premier League. In fact, you wouldn't get any news on the biggest transfers, the best games to watch this upcoming weekend, or anything about world football, because there was just no traction or demand for it in the USA until about the last decade, when it exponentially started growing and ESPN got their feet wet and started adding segments on MLS and Premier League and beyond. And now they've got rankings even out and a bunch of news for football. But going to ESPN for news on football is like going to Olive Garden to get an opinion on authentic Italian recipes. I mean, it's Olive Garden. It's not Sicily. It's like going to Facebook to get political news. Your Aunt Helen doesn't really know what's going on either. All right? So it's not the most reputable source for opinions on this sport quite yet. Maybe in a few more years. But I saw this ranking that they dropped, and I saw who the ranking started at 20 and it goes down to 1. And I saw who was at 20th. And I had to just click record on this YouTube video. And we're going to go through this ranking together. Brace yourselves, just because I only know who's at 20. I really only know who's at 20. And it's Neymar. And I'll tell you what, if you think that this ranking is the top 20 players of all time, you're wrong. And even then, Neymar might be a little bit higher than that. This is only the top 20 players of this century, since the year 2000. And they have Neymar at number 20, which in my mind is very, very low. I don't know who's above him, but we're going to see. And we're going to see if I agree with this list moving forward. So let's go up to number 19, which is Kaká, which is fair. Honestly, I mean, I don't know if I'd put him above Neymar, but he deserves to be in the top 20. To be honest, my instinct says this is too low for him as well. He won a golden or a Ballon d'Or in 2008. He was one of the best attacking midfielders in the Serie A's history, probably the best in Serie A history, unless I'm forgetting somebody. Absolutely incredible for Brazil. The only thing he never won, I believe, was a Copa America, but he won everything else, from a Ballon d'Or to a World Cup to league titles and beyond. So Kaká really is honestly pretty low on this list too. Next up is Robert Lewandowski. And I like Lewandowski. I do think he's one of the best strikers of the generation. We'll see what other strikers are on this list. I would assume, the likes of Luis Suarez will be up here. I wonder if Benzema makes the list. I wonder who else would be a striker on here. Zlatan, maybe. So we'll see who's above him. I don't hate him being an 18th, but I do kind of dislike how he's above Kaká and Neymar. I don't think he should be above Kaká and Neymar, but I think top 20 is fair for Lewandowski. Next up, we've got Sergio Busquets. Tough one, different position than those other guys. He's less of a forward, but possibly the best center defensive mid of all time. Possibly the best of all time. Definitely the best definitely the best center defensive mid since the year 2000. So to put him on the list is totally fair. You want different positions on this list. Next up, we do have Karim Benzema. I wouldn't put him up. I mean, the fact that he is above Neymar is absolutely blasphemous, but I would also put Lewandowski above Benzema. I don't even think Benzema should probably scrape the top 20. And here's what I'll say. There are only 12 Ballon d'Or winners in this century, because Messi has 8 of them. Ronaldo has 5 of them. So there's really not that many Ballon d'Or winners, and he is one of them. But let's be honest, there's better strikers. There really are better strikers, and Lewandowski's one of them. So I think this might be a little bit high for Benzema. Next up, we have Carles Puyol. Didn't come to mind when I thought of this century, but I guess, yeah, he played his entire career in the 21st century. I think he retired in 2013, roughly. Either way, World Cup winner with Spain in 2010. He was probably the best captain the sport maybe has ever seen. I mean, as a captain, he was class, absolutely class, and as a defender, he was spectacular. So, shout out to Carles Puyol. I guess, put him on this list is fair. And then Sergio Ramos, deservedly above Carles Puyol. Definitely a different style of player, but obviously also won a World Cup with Carles Puyol. Scored a ton of clutch goals for Real Madrid. And for a center back, that's rare to say. I think he's one of the most clutch goal scorers that we've seen in this generation, and he's a center back. You don't hear that all too often. So he definitely deserves to be on this list, absolutely. Next up is Toni Kroos at 13th. Okay, so Toni Kroos also above Kaká. Now, I know Kaká's more of an attacking midfielder. Kroos is more of a deep playing 8, so definitely different parts of the midfield. I don't think he should be above Kaká, though he is a 6-time Champions League winner, and he's getting shouts for Ballon d'Or this year, although he won't win it, especially after Germany lost to Spain in the quarterfinal of Euros 2024. But Toni Kroos is one of the best midfielders of this generation. I don't hate him being on this list, and I'll be honest with you guys, other than Neymar and Kaká being really low on this list and maybe Benzema being too high, I don't hate the rest of this list all too much. I thought it was going to be a lot worse than it is. But then again, we're only about 8 in, and we've got like 12 more. So let's continue. Next up, we have Kevin De Bruyne above Kaká. Oh, above Kaká, I cannot agree with it. I mean, he's probably the best attacking midfielder in the Premier League's history, and Kaká's probably the best attacking midfielder in Serie A's history. It's a 1-for-1. They both played the same position. De Bruyne is spectacular. He really is. Never did anything with Belgium, though. I mean, I don't hate him being in the top 20. I really don't hate it. We'll see who they miss out on later in this list, but I don't like him being above Kaká, especially by that much. Next up is Zlatan, and I'm fine with him being above Benzema. I don't really agree with him being above Lewandowski. Lewandowski was in 18th? Zlatan in 11th. He scored a lot of goals, don't get me wrong. And he was pretty consistent with a long, long career. He won a lot of league titles. But Zlatan Ibrahimovic, I don't think even won a Champions League, did he? So that is one downside to it. Obviously, Sweden's a tough team to win a trophy with, so you can't hold that against him too much. Either way, I can't help but laugh at how perfect I am. Zlatan is one of the most iconic and memorable players that we'll ever get to watch. But 11 seems maybe a little high. Next up is Ronaldinho, only at 10. Dino had, he played some of the most beautiful football we've ever seen. He made so many people fall in love with the game. He kind of played the sport how you dream of playing this sport. It was pre-rigid tactics. It was pre-Pep Guardiola. And he just brought an aura to the game that I don't think any other player ever has and ever will bring to the game. I think 10 is low a little bit, but I also still think Neymar should be above him. I think Neymar should be above Ronaldinho if we're talking just greatness of a player, not just how iconic Ronaldinho was. And Neymar, his transfer to PSG, it hurt his career a lot. If he stayed at Barcelona, I'm sure he'd be higher on this list according to ESPN. But Neymar's the top goal scorer for Brazil all time. He is. He's got a Copa America just like Ronaldinho. But Ronaldinho, to be fair, has won everything, including a Ballon d'Or, which Neymar never got. But Ronaldinho also really didn't overlap his career with playing with Messi and Ronaldo, which is a bit unfair. Neymar would have had a Ballon d'Or if it weren't for two absolute aliens playing at the exact same time as him. Next up is Ronaldo Nazario. Oh my God, that is low. That is so low. But one thing that I just thought about, seeing this number, 1998, does that count? Because Ronaldo Nazario, in my opinion, is a top 5 player of all time, and I might put him third. I really might put him in third as the best all time. I think that Ronaldo Nazario's peak is maybe the only, and maybe with Van Basten, Ronaldo Nazario and Van Basten, they rival Messi and Ronaldo, Cristiano Ronaldo's peak. Now, Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi's peak lasted so much longer. The longevity has to play a factor. But when it comes to players who have reached that level at any point in their career, Ronaldo Nazario and Van Basten are maybe the only two that have actually reached that peak. And so I would put him much higher. The only thing is, a lot of his peak came before the year 2000. He won the 1998 World Cup before the turn of the century. This list is just this century. I think he won Copa America in 99, which was before this century. So does that not count? And if it doesn't, then maybe 9 makes sense. But if it does count, then he should be much, much higher. Next up is Xavi Hernandez. Xavi, one of the best center mids to ever play the game. Interesting to see a player who's not really that fast, not really that strong, not really that physical, but had just the highest game IQ maybe we've ever seen. Just one of the smartest players that we've ever seen grace the pitch. I'm okay with him being this high. Next up is Andres Iniesta, partner in crime. Another player who played more of an 8, a little bit more forward than Xavi, more comfortable in the outside parts of the pitch as well that Xavi was. And he scored the winner for Spain in 2010. I mean, that's iconic. He probably would have won a Ballon d'Or. Both of those guys would have probably won a Ballon d'Or if they weren't passing to Lionel Messi, who did end up winning the Ballon d'Or in the 2 years that they both could have had a chance. Xavi Hernandez finished 3rd in Ballon d'Or twice. Andres Iniesta finished 2nd in Ballon d'Or once. I don't know if he made top 3 any other times. And then next up, oh my God. Yo, they put Kylian Mbappe in 6th. And they put Neymar in 20th. And, oh my God, I don't know how to react to this because here's the thing. Kylian Mbappe might be higher than 6th by the end of his career because he's still only 25 years old and he's accomplished so much already. But if he retired right now, let's say he stopped playing football, he's not 6th. Not 6th. All right, he did win a World Cup. He scored a lot of World Cup goals. He's had a couple poor Euros, and he's won a lot of league titles with PSG, but he's never won the Champions League. Still never won the Champions League, and I brought that up for Zlatan. I have to bring it up for him. He probably will with Real Madrid, but this isn't a list about speculation. This isn't a list about the most potential in a player, because if so, Erling Haaland should also be on this list, because Erling Haaland has a very strong chance of being in the top 20 by the end of his career. Kylian Mbappe at 6th is too high for this early in his career. And I'm saying that he probably will be above 6 by the end, but that's not what this list is. That's not what the list is. And so I disagree with him being that high. Next up is Luka Modric. Luka Modric is in 5th. And it makes me question who's next. And given what's at the top of the screen, I think that the number 4 is Zidane, which means that number 3 would be Luis Suarez. Number 2, probably Cristiano. Number 1, Lionel Messi. If I had to guess, the rest of this list, Zidane 4, Luis Suarez 3, which I think may be a little high for Luis Suarez. We'll see. But Luka Modric won a Ballon d'Or during the Messi and Ronaldo era. Led Croatia, of all teams, to a World Cup final. Now, Iniesta won a World Cup with Spain. A little bit easier to do, though, with Spain than Croatia. Not to take away from the accomplishments with Spain. That's the only World Cup they've ever won. But doing it with Spain is just easier than with Croatia. And he has carried this Croatian side. He's been a great captain, their best player, and he's won 6 titles, Champions League titles, with Real Madrid now. I can't argue him being 5th. He's spectacular. Next up is Zinedine Zidane. And he's won everything just like Ronaldinho. Ballon d'Or, Euros. He's won Champions League. He's won league titles, right? He's won absolutely everything. He's won league titles in multiple leagues as well. And he did it with one of the best first touch in football history. Absolutely brilliant player. I'm fine with him being number 4. Number 3 is Thierry Henry and not Luis Suarez. And I can't completely disagree with that. I'm actually okay with it. But Luis Suarez, I mean, I'll take a peek. Yeah, that's who I expected to be 1 and 2. Luis Suarez is not on the list. Luis Suarez is not on the list, but Benzema is on the list. And Zlatan's on the list. And Lewandowski is on the list. And Luis Suarez is not on the list. Now, Thierry Henry is way too high. He may be the best player in the Premier League's history. He deserves to be in the top 10. He might push the top 5. 3 above Zinedine Zidane is too high. And I don't even know if I'd put him above Luis Suarez. I really don't even know if I'd put him above Luis Suarez. I think Suarez might even be higher. I think Luis Suarez, like realistically, it should go Messi, Ronaldo, fair enough. I think everybody expected that. Then 3 should be Zidane. Number 4 could be Suarez. Number 5 could be Henry. Number 6 could be Neymar. Number 7 could be Modric. Number 8 could be Kaká. And that's assuming that Ronaldo Nazario and Ronaldinho, part of their career came before the year 2000, although Ronaldinho didn't hit his peak until like 2003. Ronaldo Nazario definitely started his peak in like 96, 97. So I understand maybe why Ronaldo Nazario is this low. I don't understand why Neymar is this low. I don't understand why Kaká is this low. And I don't understand why Luis Suarez is not on the list. All right, guys, make sure to subscribe to this channel because I'm going to continue to drop videos. And we also need to hit 1,000 subscribers on it before I can even monetize the channel. So that would help me a lot. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.